Well, Bulldogs are gaining steam. Mississippi State locks in a new commit, but it's not all smooth. They just lost a decommitment in the 2026 class. Stay tuned. We got more details.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, this episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. My name is Jaron Spor. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We've got a fun show for you today because obviously there was no game this week, so there's nothing to recap. So that might be fun based off of the last two weekends and what's gone on. But we got to talk about Malick Sylla because he's been creating a lot of pressure, so much so that he ranks among the best in the country. We'll talk about that a little more. And even though there wasn't a game this week, we still give out our top dog of the week. So who earns that? We'll talk about that a little later. But first, let's get into the recruiting because they won some, they lose some. Jax Pope became the fifth 2026 player to decommit.
How are you doing?
I'm not doing great because as people know, when he committed, I love this commitment. I was really high on him. Still am really high on him. He's going to do great wherever he ends up going. I wish we were able to keep him. I don't know if he was one of the group that, we talked about last week had basically been told that they have to move on because of the 5-year rule. I had seen reports that there was going to be 5 guys, and up to that point, only 4 were decommitted, and now Pope would be the 5th, so that would make sense, which that sucks because, again, I think he's going to be really good. And I didn't think his ranking kind of lived up to how good he actually could be. We can kind of start with that. They're losing a lot of safeties in this class because Demario Johnson was another one of those decommits. Right.
Yeah, it's interesting where the decommits are coming from. It kind of lets you know where they think they're not losing players,
right,
if it is because of the 5-year rule. And the secondary's played great for the most part this season. So, I mean, you understand why they want to bring all these guys back. But it's kind of strange how that seems to be the one that's hit hard. I mean, obviously there's a lineman left as well, but it does seem like it is mainly the defensive backfield, and I don't know why I can't talk today.
Yeah, I mean, I am looking at the safeties right now, and Lanier and Washington are redshirt seniors. Outside of that, Jaron Manning is a senior, but he's not a redshirt, so he technically could come back with the 5-year rule. Cyrus Reyes is a sophomore. Obviously, Stunka Burnside is a sophomore as well. Tanner Johnson is a redshirt junior. So that's 4 guys right there that could be back in the safety room. And then obviously at the nickelback, Isaac Smith is a junior. Tony Mitchell is a junior. Tyler Woodard is also a junior. So all those guys should be back as well. They're just apparently they must think they're not losing much at safety.
Yeah, they must think pretty much all those guys are coming back, which, I mean, again, super early in the draft, so we don't know if there's any of those guys that I would assume Isaac Smith would get some buzz in the NFL draft, but I mean, I haven't really heard about anyone else. I know I saw his name on a bunch of those early preseason lists, but outside of other DBs, I haven't really seen any names popping up. So, yeah, they must be banking on just kind of keeping this core together and them growing, but you hope they keep up. That's not where, if they have to keep trimming some guys, you hope they don't focus too hard on that one area because you got to have the next wave coming in.
You got to have someone back there. No, you're right. So I guess we'll just kind of wait and see what else they kind of do from there. The one positive is they did get a safety commitment. The negative is it's a 2028 commitment. So
you guys will be gone by then.
Yeah, you have to wait for that. And I don't know. I didn't see a pronouncer for him, but Cyion Smith, I believe is how you pronounce it.
I think so.
He's a 2028. He's a star. Obviously,
he's a 5-star. He's a 4-star, but
4-star. But he might be a 5-star by the end. The thing is, it's so early that not all the sites rank him yet. Rivals is the only one that ranks him right now, and he's a 4-star. number 8 safety in the country, and 75 overall nationally. He's from Florida, so I was surprised to see a guy commit that early. And the one thing I will say to fans is kind of be hesitant, because someone that's committed that early doesn't typically stick. And I'm not saying he won't stick, and you hope he does, because he's a really good player.
Yeah.
But guys that commit that far out don't typically stick.
Unless there's some kind of just a hardcore family connection to the school, you don't see it.
Right.
And also, he's a massive safety to be a 2028.
I know.
6'3", almost 170. I mean, that is, you're looking at maybe a linebacker down the road. Like, honestly, like if he gets a little bit bigger and puts on his weight, that guy might be a great coverage linebacker. But that is a huge safety. That's a huge get. I mean, yes, he might not stick, but to have a guy that far out, rated that highly, go ahead and commit when, like we mentioned, this staff over 2 years has won a total of 6 games.
Right.
To have someone that highly be like, no, I think by then this is a place I want to be, that speaks a lot to this coaching staff's ability to recruit, which we've mentioned before with how they're able to just keep getting people to believe in this message. And you get a few more wins and you're going to get more guys in there. So hopefully he sticks it out, and maybe he ends up here in the end, but you get a little bit of he's committed, he decommit, goes somewhere, then comes back. So might be a roller coaster, but hopefully you keep him in the fold.
Well, and we said before the year, the 2027 and 2028 classes were going to be built on now production. The 2025, 26, those classes can be built on what your message is and people buying into that. But 27, 28, that's going to be built on production. Well, the team is 4-2, and that's really good. And we hope they're able to get to bowl eligibility. But even if they don't, they already got a guy committed in 2028. That means he's believing the defensive change is already happening. And it is. And we talked about it, how much improved the defense has been this year. It's taken a massive leap forward. That tells us right there that they're buying into that, and they're seeing the change, and they're believing it, and they're believing it's going to continue going up. And that's massive for your program.
That's huge. The defense is getting better, and you're starting to see them come together. And if the reason these guys are decommitting is they think 99% of this secondary is going to be back, I mean, there's no reason this defense can take another step next year, especially with that much returning production from a team that got better. So you hope that all of these decommits are, you don't want to say part of a plan because you hate to lose them, but if you lose them, there needs to be a plan in place for who you're picking and choosing that is kind of decommitting, and it's not just a wave of people that are exiting. Because right now we are still kind of in the hypothetical wait and see mode with this 5-year rule, like how people are going to approach it. So, I mean, that you hope that's why these decommits are happening still.
Yeah, for sure. And just to be clear about because you're probably wondering, well, what safeties do we have left in the class? They do have 2, Colby Barrett and Ontavious Watts still in the class. And so we just talked about the 2. There's only 2 that have to leave. And so if they're telling more that recruits that they need to move on, that and they've got 2 committed, that tells me they're only planning on 2 being gone, which that tells you Jaron Manning would be back. And then as far as the Isaac Smith role, that can be filled by a linebacker, safety. It just depends on what kind of athlete you have at that position. So that doesn't necessarily say that that he will
need another safety per se to feel
right. And so, but that tells you that they only think 2 are leaving right now, and that's, I think, obviously big for the team. But all right, coming up next, Malick Sylla is having an incredible season, but just how good, we'll talk about that coming up next. Well, this episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward, I'm going to go back to a moment that's happened previously this season, because obviously Mississippi State didn't play this past weekend, but I still love the Seth Davis play, the touchdown after all he's been through. He had obviously the injury at the end of his freshman year, missed all of last season, still isn't fully right, but him getting that touchdown That's what college football is all about. You love those moments where these kids put in so much work, and for the game to be taken away from them primarily, prematurely, and obviously just for a limited time, it just sucks to see that. And so to see him getting to come out, getting to have a touchdown, getting to have that moment to kind of celebrate, that's what it's all about right there. So when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only a beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, we got to talk about the season that Malick Sylla is having. We've talked about just the defensive line really hasn't stood out, and these numbers were actually eye-popping to me.
Yeah.
Mississippi State tweeted him out. Malick Sylla is getting 23.1% pressure rate, which ranks 6th nationally and 2nd in the SEC among edge defenders. They did put out the list as well. I can't remember exactly where that is. I'll look for that one. But nonetheless, it is an incredible season he's having.
That's an amazing number, and it's almost surprising when you look at his stats and you see, was it 1.5 tackles for loss and no sacks?
Right.
Like, it's crazy that he's getting pressure on almost 1/4 of the dropbacks that he is on the field for, and hadn't gotten home yet.
Yeah.
Like, that is a little crazy, but it goes to show you that, and that's one of those things that people talk about if you get into the really like analytical side of things, that like pressure rate is more of a it's a sticky stat, like year over year, if you can create pressure, whereas sacks can be a little fluky, which you see guys, so if he can keep that up, that means he could have a very good career. If this is not this is who he is, and it's not just like a hot streak, an aberration, something like that. But if he keeps this up, he's going to start getting home, and if he isn't getting home, he's giving his teammates a chance to get home by creating that pressure.
Yeah, for sure. And I found the rankings. David Bailey from Texas Tech is number 1. Damon Wilson from Missouri, who had a monster week against Alabama, is number 2. Cyion Young from Missouri is number 3, which is crazy to think 2 are on the same team. But 2 are also on the same team from Louisville, because Clev Lubin and AJ Green are on there, and then Malick Sylla comes right after that. But no, I agree with what you said, because it is crazy to think that he is 6th in the country and pressure rate. So he actually would be 3rd in the SEC. I think they said 2nd, but there's 2 Missouri guys on there. The graphic I think said 2nd, but yeah, he's getting home, and by the way, he's a guy that could come back for a 5th year, because he's just a straight up senior if he wanted to. I believe that's right.
Yeah,
it is just crazy that his pressure rate is so high, and he's not getting home as often as you would expect given those numbers.
Yeah, I know someone like this happened recently, and I feel like it was Owe from Penn State. I think he had a crazy pressure rate and only had like 3 sacks in his entire college career.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, what do you do with the guy when you're thinking about him as a player who can create that kind of pressure, but still never seems to quite make it home? Like, obviously there's a role for him, and obviously this is great. I'm thinking like long-term, like, what does this mean for him as a player? Because you hope he starts getting home. If he can start translating half of those into QB hits and some sacks, you are looking at a game-wrecking type player.
Right.
Like if he starts, I mean, you don't even have to turn them all into sacks. Just start hitting the quarterback, getting there a step quicker, altering throws, making him get off his spot, that kind of stuff. That changes how your secondary has to play, what you do with the rest of your defensive line, what you can do with your linebackers. It just alters the math completely when you have a guy who could do that. So I'm not taking anything away from this. This is amazing that you're able to do that. But you take a little half step more and turn those into some sacks, you're looking at, all SEC defense, awards, high draft picks, million, all that. So hopefully this is the beginning of him becoming a player that he clearly has the ability to be.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it right now. So David Bailey, number 1 in pressure rate. He has 8.5 sacks this year, which is just crazy.
That's dumb.
Damon Wilson has 5.5 sacks already this season. Cyion Young has 3 sacks. And remember, Sylla only has 1.5 sacks. Lubin has 4 sacks, and then who was the other one?
Sylla has 1.5 tackles for loss. He has 0 sacks.
Oh yeah, 0 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss. Yeah, and then AJ Green is the other one, which let's see, he's at Louisville. Let me see how many sacks he has. But anyways, it's just all these guys have multiple sacks, and no one else has anything.
Yeah.
Or like Sylla, doesn't have anything. All these other guys have all these sacks, and Sylla doesn't have anything.
Yeah, and I don't know what to do with that because you start seeing it. Like I've mentioned how it seems like this line is creating more pressure over these last couple games.
Right.
But no one's getting home. You're starting to have to see that quarterback roll out more, or they get hit after the ball's thrown, or things like that, but no one's getting home. So while it's good, this is kind of what we talked about with this defense taking a step in the right direction. Creating pressure is a massive step in the right direction, but you kind of have to start turning that pressure into negative plays for your defense to go up to that next level.
Yeah, and I did find AJ Green's numbers. He's just not listed as AJ. He's listed as Adonijah. But he does go by AJ. But on Football Reference, he doesn't go by AJ. He only has 1 sack and 2 tackles for loss. He only has 9 tackles on the season, so you wonder if he just doesn't play a whole lot. So that's why his pressure rate is super high.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Sylla doesn't have numbers compared to these guys, which is just crazy because all those guys up there are the top pass rushers in college football, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And Sylla's a guy that has 4 sacks for his career. Like, it's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's really crazy. It's kind of like you mentioned Green, how maybe he's only playing certain snaps. Like, obviously, we know Sylla's playing more than a couple snaps a game.
Right.
But it's kind of like, is he just getting in there in certain packages that really allow him to use his speed or something that's leading to the high rate? That's something that you really have to sit down and chart. So I've not done that yet, but if this is a thing where he's just getting on the field more and starting to create more pressure, like you just got to unleash him a little bit more, and the sacks will come. I mean, you don't create pressure that often,
right,
and not run into a couple sacks.
Yeah, for sure. All right, coming up next, we will give our top dog of the week. Don't go anywhere.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets. One of the things I love about FanDuel is the live bets. I love watching the game, seeing what's going on, finding that hot hand, and finding that live line and putting some money on that. That just makes it so much fun when you've got that little something on the game, especially when it's a game you got into that you weren't expecting to just because of how someone's playing. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401k, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or phone. Monarch is built for busy people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you, and you can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. One of the things I noticed once I started using Monarch is just how much we're all spending on subscriptions now. Everything seems like it's a subscription. Food delivery, TV, some software on your computer, all of these things are subscriptions. And when it's all laid out for you like Monarch does, you can see just how much money you're spending on all of those. And you're able to see, I don't really need that one. I don't really need that one. You can set that money aside and start saving and planning better for your future. So don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, who is your top dog of the week?
Well, since we don't have football, we can go out of the box here, and I'm going with Brian O'Connor. I mean, if you're keeping up with recruiting, he is landing big recruit after big recruit for the next baseball class. You know, the baseball season, they're starting to gear up for practices and everything. And the excitement is really, I know MLB playoffs are still going on, but I'm already excited for next baseball season. And it's looking like it's going to be a great season with what he's got here and with what he's shaping up, bringing in next year after. He's on a hot streak.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up baseball because obviously when football's going on, our shows are packed with football, but there's been a lot of great things happening in the baseball world. A lot of stuff happened in softball even, and a lot of stuff has happened in men's basketball. There's been just a lot of good stuff that's happening, as even some notes from the kind of the practices with the basketball team and things like that. I also went with a baseball, but I went kind of even more outside the box. This is something that I don't feel like we highlight enough. Noah Sullivan was named the 2025 Division I Baseball Academic All-American of the Year.
That's awesome.
That is by College Sports Communicators. And like you mentioned, that is just an awesome thing because even though they are getting paid now, they're still student athletes.
Yeah.
They're students that they have to go to school. They go to classes. And for him to not only be an academic All-American, which is a great honor, to be academic All-American of the year in the entire FBS is just an insane honor to get. And so I just wanted to shout that out because, like I said, everyone always talks about what they do on the field, but we don't talk enough about what they do off the field. And hats off to Noah Sullivan. Yeah,
that's, the academic All-American. Like, that is awesome. You see those lists come out and you're always like, oh, that's cool. Or like the academic all conference, those kind of things. You're like, oh, that's really cool for them. But you never really stop and think about, once you're out of college, you quit thinking about what that really means and how much work goes into doing that. And then how much work goes into doing that on top of how much work they're putting in to be great athletes on the field at the same time. So yeah, it's an amazing honor for him.
Yeah. I was trying to see if I could get some details of what his major was, but I didn't see it anywhere listed. So I'm curious what his actual major was. But yeah, it's just a great honor for him and to be able to put his schoolwork first. And even with the hectic baseball season, which is very hectic with all the stuff, all the games that they have, you'll have a midweek game, then a weekend series, and you're just playing a lot of baseball. And so for you to prioritize your schoolwork and find time to do that and do it at a high level is really cool to see. Well,
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy breaks down the best conference in college sports, from the rivalries to the championship and every game in between. Find Locked On SEC on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we're finally back this week with a game. I said this last week. I love bye weeks, but I hate bye weeks as well.
Yeah.
Because I love it because we needed it. We had some injuries that we have to get through and we have to get over with. But I hate it because I really wanted to watch them play this past weekend. And so at least we get to break down Florida. So don't miss out. We're going to be talking a ton of Florida. Wednesday we'll do Jeff Lebby's press conference like we always do. Thursday we'll have Billy Napier press conference, talk about that. We'll try to get someone from Locked On Gators to talk to us. Brandon, I think it's Brandon or Brendan. I always mix it up, but we'll try to get him on to kind of preview the game as well. And so don't miss that. We'll get back to our usual content now that we actually have a game this week. But make sure you follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday. We'll also have our pre- and post-game videos back this week on Saturday. So don't miss that. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.